In the S-400 air defense system in the Indo-Pakistani conflict and the frequent losses, the Indian military into a crisis of confidence, Russia has quietly handed over the upgrade package, Su-57 stealth fighters, and S-500 air defense missiles. Double-barreled sales strategy. Whether it is a life-saving straw in the snow or wrapped in sugar-coated strategic traps, behind this game of arms sales, not only about India's ability to reverse the air disadvantage, but also reflects the global geopolitics of the intricate chain of interests and power struggle. When Pakistan's Dragon fighter aircraft to $35,000 of CM-400 AKG missiles to destroy $1.5 billion worth of S-400 system, this unit price disparity of victory not only tore the myth of the Russian-made weapons technology, but also the deep crisis of India's defense system exposed to the international spotlight. India's $5.43 billion S-400 air defense network was dealt a fatal blow on May 10, 2025 during Operation Brass Wall. The Pakistan Air Force's 3 Dragon Block 3 fighters broke through the India-Pakistan line of actual control, LAC, with a 30-meter ultra-low altitude breakthrough, launching CM-400 AKG missiles 200 kilometers from the target, whose terminal Mach 5.5 swooping speed compressed the S-400's interception window to less than 15 seconds. The KLJ-7A active phased array radar, in conjunction with a high-intensity EMP released from KG-600 electronic warfare pods S-400 9-2 and 6E fire control radar, instantly paralyzed, reduced to snow screen TV. Satellite images show that the wreckage of the destroyed 4-8 and 6E-3 missile launcher was scattered radioactively. Burning heat signals lasted more than 8 hours. This $4 million missile to destroy the $1.5 billion system of war cases completely subverted the high prices, high power logic of military procurement. Russian air defense system defect in the systematic confrontation exposed. S-400 design is initially aimed at high-altitude, high-speed targets, but the ultra-low-altitude anti-defense supersonic anti-radiation missile defense effectiveness is limited. Its radar in the Israeli Barak 8 system of data chain, there is a 12-second delay, resulting in the delivery of early warning information disconnect. More ironic is that India, in order to intercept a single price of $30,000 drones, actually used $10 million worth of 4-8 and 6E missiles. Economic accounts and tactical effectiveness of the double imbalance. Russia and Ukraine battlefield has proved that the S-400 in response to the HIMARS rockets and HAM-NT radiation missiles are also weak, and its dependence on the vulnerability of the early warning system synergy, in the context of India's universal brand, equipment mix and match. The vulnerability of its dependence on early warning system coordination, in the context of India's universal brand, equipment mix and match has been infinitely amplified. In the face of the S-400 myth, Russia quickly launched a crisis public relations to sell India the so-called sixth-generation air defense system of the S-500, which claims to have a range of 600 kilometers and can intercept hypersonic missiles and low-orbit satellites. But its technological validation is only at the stage of target range testing. 91 and 6E radar architecture, although the addition of 776 anti-missile fire control radar, but the core electronic system is still dependent on the technology base of the 1990s. Its anti-jamming ability and multi-target processing efficiency is questionable. Russia's commitment to India's local production line, in fact, the assembly link transfer. The key chip and algorithms are still controlled by the Russian side. This model in the Su-30 MKI project has led to India paid $1.8 billion in technology transfer fees. But even the engine overhaul need to return to Russia. The marketing of the Su-57 is even more strategically calculated. The machine's radar reflection cross-section of 0.5 square meters, stealth performance is only equivalent to the early model of F-117, and its N036 Squirrel radar can track 60 targets at the same time. But the signal processing speed is 40% slower than that of the ESA radar of J-20. Russia to fight against Pakistan J-35, as the rhetoric to induce India to purchase, but hides the Su-57, has not solved the problem of composite skin cracking, and 117's engine life of only 1,200 hours, less than one-third of the F-35. The essence of this half-finished military sales is to transfer the cost of research and development. India, if purchased, not only need to bear the unit price of $150 million per frame, but also for the not yet completed Product 30 engine improvement program for the unfinished Product 30 additional injection of funds. India's military industries, inherent inadequacy, in the conflict is obvious. Although its Navy P-17 frigate boasts of domestic production, but radar, missiles, engines are all imported. Israel L.M. 2248 radar and Italian sonar system data fusion needs to be relayed by a third-party agreement, resulting in a delay of 22 seconds in response to combat. Army 4000 main battle tanks, half of the T-72, has not completed the digital transformation. Its firing control system error as high as 3 mils. In the Kashmir mountain battle repeatedly hit friendly forces by mistake. The Air Force has been plunged into a maintenance hell. 270 Su-30 Mki due to the Russian side cut off the supply of turbine blades. The proper rate fell below 45%. 36 Rafale fighters need to wait for the French 18-month maintenance cycle. The combat attendance rate of only 76%. The Modi government's Make in India strategy has suffered a total defeat in the field of military industry. Argentank's 47 years of research and development is still unable to adapt to the desert environment. Glory fighter aircraft test flights and the frequent occurrence of fuel tanks fall-off accidents. Domestic aircraft carrier Vikrant construction 17 years before barely in service. Its carrier elevator but with the MiG-29K size mismatch. This kind of saving machine type military industry leads to less than 30% of national defense autonomy. The annual $12 billion military procurement expenditure, only the Rafale fighter jet contract has been exposed to the existence of 10% kickbacks shady. When Pakistan through the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor to obtain a complete transfer of the defense industry, the realization of the Lord Dragon Block 3 full localization, India is even dependent on Israel to supply rifle bullets. This generation gap in the systematic war to form a fatal crush. The conflict triggered a chain reaction. Egypt suspended the $2 billion S-400 procurement negotiations. Turkey turned to examine China's red flag 9b. Russia's arms sales market share is afraid of shrinking by 15%. France's Dassault Aviation, whose shares plummeted 18% due to the downing of the Rafale, has been forced to reassess its export strategy for 4.5-generation fighters. The US has been caught up in strategic anxiety. The CM400 AKG missile technology is derived from China's Hawk 12, indicating that the PLA's anti-intervention capability has exceeded the Pentagon's expectations. The Dragon model of China-Pakistan cooperation is reshaping the armament development path of countries in the global south, with Myanmar and Nigeria installing Block 3 in large quantities, and Argentina incorporating it into its defense plan for the island of Ma, forming a downward strike on the Western weapons system through the affordable high-tech route. This affordable high-tech route is a downward strike on the Western weapons system. Hybrid warfare in the nuclear shadow is even more alarming. India has put its Spitfire V missiles on secondary alert. Pakistan has demonstrated the mobile launch capability of its Nasser tactical nuclear missiles, and cyber attacks on both sides have spread to people's livelihoods. 90% of India's cross-border water supply has been cut off, while Pakistan has crippled the power grid in Indian-controlled Kashmir. And the video of a pilot jumping out of a plane circulating on TikTok has been viewed more than 200 million times. Cognitive domain warfare has become the new dimension. This asymmetric escalation highlights the fragility of the security architecture in South Asia. When Modi reviewed the BrahMos missile formation at the Red Fort, Islamabad's 3D printers are mass-producing suicide drones, and the scales of history have been tilted quietly by technological iteration. In this 21st century defense industry game, India if continue to indulge in sky-high procurement, technology blockade, war power discount of the dead cycle, will eventually be reduced to the major powers of military sales of the testing ground. Just as the wreckage of the destroyed S-400 is still smoldering, New Delhi needs not only to update the arsenal, but a reform that touches the soul of the military-industrial system. Otherwise, when the J-35 stealth fighters swept over the Himalayan ridges, the Indian Air Force may be Su-57 engine failure to fill in the warranty policy